Hi there, my name is Janet LeBlanc, and I am so pumped that you signed up for this workshop, When to Worry About Taxes for Your Handmade Shop. I know that this is a question that a lot of us have when we're first starting a new business, or even if you've been selling for a while, but maybe it started as a hobby and you're not totally sure what your financial responsibilities are. And today I'm going to wrap that up for you with a little bow, answer your biggest questions when it comes to your financial responsibilities as an online seller, and you are going to have so much more clarity and confidence on this topic by the time we're done. So I can't wait to dive in with you, and again, I thank you so much for being here. I know that this isn't always the sexiest topic to learn about, but it is essential, and like I said, you're going to feel so much better once you get the understanding that you need. Now, a little bit about me, in case you don't know who I am and you're wondering why should I trust anything coming out of this girl's mouth. My name is Janet LeBlanc. My business is called Paper and Spark, and I'm a certified public accountant here in the US. I got started in accounting long ago and started selling handmade jewelry on Etsy in 2011 as a creative outlet from my less than fun accounting job over in cubicle land, right? One thing led to another. I saw how many other Etsy shop owners and crafters and artists were struggling with the financial side of running their business. Lots of questions about bookkeeping, questions about taxes, questions about whether or not this stuff applies to me or whether I need to be dealing with this yet. And I loved being part of the handmade community, and I wanted to use my accounting knowledge to help my fellow makers deal with this stuff and handle this stuff and feel good about this stuff, because I really didn't like seeing these financial questions holding people back from achieving their dreams. I never want not understanding or not feeling good about your financial responsibilities to be something that keeps you from running your business 100%. So that's why I started Paper and Spark in 2014. And ever since then, I've been super blessed. And ever since then, I've been blessed to work with the maker community and help you all through spreadsheets, online courses, workshops just like this, learn more about your finances and feel good about it. So how can you get the most out of this workshop? Close everything down and get ready to get focused. I know that these topics are not necessarily fun. They're not something that you're thrilled to be learning about, but it is going to be helpful, and you are going to be feeling so much better by the end of it because you're going to have that clarity that you need. Get ready to take some notes, whether that be in your favorite notebook or in a note-taking app. And you can send in questions when we're done or at any point through the presentation via the little chat bubble at the bottom of the screen. That's going to go straight to my Facebook Messenger, so you'll be sending your questions directly to me and I will help you as soon as I can. All right, so admin stuff aside, let's dive right in. These are the big financial myths that I see crawling their way around the internet, and you likely have seen them as well. So let's talk about those rumors, those internet myths. You might have heard things like, I'm just a hobby. I don't need to claim this stuff on my income tax return until I make X amount of dollars. I don't need to register as a business with my state if I'm just selling this for fun. I don't need to report these sales until I make $1,000 in a year. Or since I am just a hobby, since I haven't registered as a business yet, I can't claim this on my income taxes, or I'm not supposed to. There's tons of rumors out here. You especially might see, different income thresholds, like I don't need to worry about this until I make this much money, and you can fill in the blank with the dollar amount. It tends to change: $400, $600, $1,000. I hear all sorts of things. But spoiler alert, none of that is true. It doesn't matter. Unfortunately, none of that is true. And those are the things that we're going to clear up together today. When you really need to be worrying about this stuff, when it's time to deal with this stuff, are there any thresholds? We're going to answer all those questions today. So right now, when it comes to your financial responsibilities with setting up shop, you may be feeling overwhelmed and confused. You might not be sure who to trust. There's so much different conflicting information out there. This girl in the Facebook group said this girl in the Etsy forum said the totally opposite thing. My uncle's brother's cousin who's an accountant told me this. I don't know if he even understands Etsy shops though. You might feel angry and fed up. I just want to make beautiful things and make a little bit of money. I'm just running an Etsy shop. I shouldn't have to deal with the IRS and all these responsibilities. I don't want to be messing with that. You may have started figuring some of these things out, but still feel that nagging, lingering anxiety in the back of your head. Did I do everything I needed to do? Did I check off all the boxes? I feel like there's something I might have forgotten, and I'm worried about what that could be. Or maybe you feel lost in analysis paralysis. There's so much I need to figure out. How am I going to figure all this stuff out on my own? How you want to feel about these topics and how I want you to feel about these topics is confident, clear, capable, and in control. And best of all, I want you to feel done with this so that you can do it, check off the boxes, and then move on to what you really love doing, which is creating beautiful things and making money, right? So what are we going to cover today? We're going to replace those myths with the true facts and knowledge that you need to know. We're going to review the real definition of hobby versus business. We're going to discuss how a business is taxed. We're going to discuss why it's good for you to be a business instead of just a hobby. We're going to cover a few of the to-dos that you need to get done in order to be a legit business. And we're going to cover what you want to learn about, like what you want to put on your learning list to run your business as a smart CFO. So finally getting into the actual knowledge and facts part of this workshop. What is a business? The IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, that is everyone's favorite governmental body that governs us when it comes to income taxes, federal income taxes. The IRS defines a business as an activity that's carried on with a reasonable expectation of earning a profit. So really think about that. There is no dollar amount listed there. It is all about intent. There's no threshold. It doesn't even actually say, they don't even actually say that you need to be earning a profit to be a business. It is just an activity that you're carrying on with the reasonable expectation of earning a profit. That means that it's mostly about intent. Are you running this activity? Did you set up your shop with the intent or expectation of eventually making a profit from that activity? You don't have to be making a profit yet, but are you doing it with the hopes of making a profit? And 99% of you who are watching this right now, that is you. You are running your shop with the reasonable expectation of earning a profit. A hobby example would be like, I just inherited Aunt Sheila's button stash. I'm just going to post this stuff online and sell it for cost and so that I can get these out of my house. I'm not doing that with the intent of making a profit on Aunt Sheila's buttons. I'm just selling them at low price to get them out of here, right? That is a good example of something that would not be a business because you're not doing it with the intent of earning a profit. You're just destashing. But most of us who are running Etsy shops, even if we're doing it as a side gig, even if it's not super profitable yet, we are doing that with the intent of earning a profit. So that means we're a business. And that means that for tax purposes, we want to fill out a Schedule C when it comes to income taxes. Now, a Schedule C is what we file if we're a sole proprietor, meaning there's just one of us. That's your business entity. If there's just one of you and you haven't incorporated or anything, you're a sole proprietor. If you are a partnership or you have for some reason incorporated already, you're going to fill out a different form, but it's going to ask for a lot of the similar things that go on the Schedule C, which is what we're going to focus on today. And another question I get a lot is, what if I'm an LLC? If you're a single member LLC, unless you elected to be taxed as an S Corp, you too are also taxed as a sole prop. So this Schedule C stuff totally applies to you as an LLC as well. So let's take a look at that Schedule C real quick. This is the form that you're going to file your businesses, because we know it's a business now, your businesses, sales, and expenses on. You're going to get to report all those sales that you made with your shop, however big or however small. You're going to be able to subtract or deduct out any business expenses, things like your Etsy fees, advertising fees, your shipping expense, all that good stuff gets subtracted from your sales. And then you're going to calculate the net income or net loss from those two amounts. And a net loss is obviously if your expenses are greater than your sales. Net income is if your sales are greater than your expenses, right? This form gets filed with your personal tax return. If you're a sole proprietor, your business is not a separate legal entity from you. It's part of you. So it goes with your personal taxes as well, that Form 1040. So all your business net income or loss is going to travel over to your personal tax form and get lumped in with your personal tax stuff. So if you have day job wages or you have a spouse who has a regular job, your business's net income or loss will get lumped in with that stuff as well. So let's briefly talk about how a hobby gets taxed really quick. And we already discussed that a hobby is an activity that's done with no expectation of earning a profit, unlike a business. The IRS actually calls hobbies a not-for-profit activity, not to be confused with a non-profit activity like a charitable organization, but just an activity that is not for profit, not run for profit. And a hobby, contrary to popular belief, if you were a hobby and not a business for whatever reason, you're still having to deal with taxes on that hobby income. So even if you wanted to say that your Etsy shop was a hobby, you still have to claim those hobby sales on your tax return. You don't fill out a Schedule C. You would fill that out on this Schedule 1, and it would actually go under other income right here. So you would claim your hobby sales on this Schedule 1, line 21, and unlike with a business, you don't get to subtract any expenses related to that hobby. So that's really one of the big benefits of having a business as well, is that you get to claim and subtract those business-related expenses, like Etsy fees if you're selling on Etsy. If you want to take the route of saying this is a hobby, I'm not trying to make a profit, so I'm going to just claim it on line 21 here, you cannot take any deductions to lower the amount of sales. What that means is that you're just going to get taxed straight up on your total sales amount, which is not really beneficial. You want to be able to lower the amount of taxes you pay by subtracting those expenses. So the Schedule C business net income or loss actually travels right here on line 12 of Schedule 1, whereas the hobby sales total would go on line 21 right here. And either the business net income or the hobby gross sales would travel to your personal Form 1040. This is page 2 of the Form 1040. That is your personal tax return. So either way, it all gets lumped in and taxed with your personal tax situation. So what the heck is your point, Janet? First point is, no matter whether you're a hobby or a business, you have tax responsibilities. You still have to claim this stuff. Doesn't matter if you made $100, doesn't matter if you made $1,000, doesn't matter what the dollar amount is, you have tax responsibilities, whether you're a hobby or a loss. And point number 2 is, it's more beneficial to file as a business. Assuming you truly are a business, I do not encourage anyone to file as a business if you really are a hobby and don't have that intent to make a profit. But if you are running that activity as a business, you're treating it seriously, you're taking it as a business, you're hoping to make a profit or you are making a profit, you want to file that Schedule C and claim it as a business, because you get to subtract those expenses and only be taxed on the net result of your sales minus your expenses, right? Unlike with a hobby. So it makes more financial sense for you to file as a business as well. My biggest takeaway here really is that I want to dispel those rumors and myths that float around online that I don't need to deal with this stuff until X. Oh, you can just ignore this until X happens. There's none of those events. The IRS doesn't tell us any sort of event like, oh, you can just let this fly until you make X amount of money. It does not exist. So next time you see that rumor online, please a rising tide lifts all boats, right? Let them know that that is simply, unfortunately, not true in the kindest way possible. That way more of us can understand what's really going on when it comes to our finances. So maybe you're just coming to the realization now that you are a business. Congratulations, you're a business owner. Treat it like a business. What do I need to do? Now that I know that I'm a business, there's probably some other steps that I need to take to get legit, right? So let's review a few of those. First, you want to make sure that you have your business funds separated from your personal funds. That means having a separate bank account for your business. That needs to be one of the first things that you do if you haven't done it already. Having that separate bank account makes doing your books a whole lot easier, and it also protects you if you're ever the unlucky victim of an audit. Having your books separate for your business is a lot better in that case. You want to see what needs to be done to get legit in your county, city, and state. There are a lot of different things that often need to be taken care of at the local or state level. These are going to be things like getting your sales tax permit. If your state has sales tax, you want to make sure that you understand whether or not you need to be charging sales tax to your customers and registered with your state accordingly to deal with sales tax. These might be things like getting your DBA permit or your DBA license that's doing business as. It's also called fictitious name or assumed name permit or license in different places. This is something that we often need if we're running a shop under a name different than our own personal legal name. And there's often other types of business licenses or permits that you may need to get depending on where you live. You want to have a bookkeeping system that works for you set up, and you want to be updating those books at least once a month. This is what the Paper and Spark Seller spreadsheet is really good at helping you with, but there are several options out there that work for creative entrepreneurs like ourselves. The important thing is that you want some sort of system and you want to understand how it works. That's really important. And you want to be updating it consistently. I say at least once a month. That way you're going to know the numbers that go on that Schedule C at year end. If you're not working to figure it out until year end, you're going to be super stressed, right? Finally, you just want to understand your tax requirements. We briefly looked at that Schedule C, but there's a lot of concepts and little things that you want to dig deeper in when it comes to that. Things like self-employment tax. How does that work? Things like the tax consequences of inventory and cost of goods sold. If you're selling physical goods, what do you need to be tracking? What do you need to anticipate when it comes to inventory? Another good thing to learn about, another important concept to learn about when it comes to your tax requirements is estimated quarterly tax payments. Is that something that applies to you? Is that something that you need to set up now in advance of when taxes are due? All good questions to put on that learning list of what you need to tackle and what you need to do or understand or learn about to run a shop with a solid financial foundation and be legit. So on that last bullet point I just mentioned, those tax responsibilities, I want to talk about it for just a couple extra minutes because this is usually one of the things that I feel like we struggle with the most is understanding tax responsibilities. It sounds like this big, scary phrase and it's kind of loaded and it can mean lots of different things. So let's drill down into that for a couple minutes. First, there's two main types of taxes that you likely need to be dealing with as a business owner. You've got sales tax, which is governed by your state. It's governed on a state-by-state basis. And you've got income tax, which is governed by the federal government. That's the IRS. And most states also have their own version of income tax. So those are the two big taxes: sales tax, income tax. Income tax is what we talked about briefly with that Schedule C. Let's talk about sales tax for a minute with your state. This is when you want to make sure you have your shop set up correctly. You want to be registered with your state, like be allowed to collect sales tax. And If you have your shop set up right, it's usually something that only applies to your fellow in-state customers. It's not something that has to be charged to everyone across the board, but just customers in your state. So I'm in the state of Texas. Some of the products that I sell are indeed subject to sales tax here. So anytime I sell a spreadsheet, for example, to someone else in Texas, my shop is set up to correctly and automatically charge that customer 8.25% of sales tax. And if I'm doing it right, sales tax is just money in, money out. It is not money out of my pocket. That's why you want to make sure you have this set up correctly, because it should not be an additional expense to you. My shop charges it to my Texas customer at the time of checkout. They pay me that money. I hold on to it, and then every month or quarter or year when it's due back to my state, I simply remit it back over to them. So if you're doing it right, you will collect it, you will hold on to it, and you will pay it back to your state when the time is due. Income tax is different, a totally different beast. This is that big chunk of change that is due to the federal government on April 15th every year. This goes with your personal taxes usually. Your business is going to be taxed with that, and you're going to end up paying income taxes on both your business and personal income around April 15th every year. You're going to fill out that Schedule C, and then something that I don't have too much time to dive into today is also self-employment tax. That's part of your income tax liability as a business owner. Self-employment tax is like if you're working a day job and you have an employer, they're withholding certain taxes and things out of your paycheck every pay period, right? And they're theoretically holding on to that and remitting it over to the government. As self-employed people, we don't have anyone withholding those amounts from our paycheck. So we're still subject to that tax. We're just subject to it in a different way. It's called self-employment tax. It's 15.3% of your business's net income if your business net income is at least $400 or more. And funny enough, that is where a lot of the rumors about $400 comes from. But it really, that $400 threshold only applies to self-employment tax, not any taxes. So with that super brief overview on sales tax and income tax, I encourage you to get informed. Anything that you're confused about, make that list. Start asking those questions. Find the resources. And just understand that in general, you're responsible for these taxes no matter how much or how little money you're making. So you want to get on top of it now instead of ignoring it and getting hit with those scary letters from the IRS or from your state, fines, penalties, interest, trying to backtrack and figure out what happened 2 years ago when you didn't know that this applied. You want to get on top of it now so you don't have to deal with all that stress and rigmarole, right? So I hope this information has motivated and inspired you a little bit to take better control of your business finances. Treat it like a business because you are most likely a business for tax purposes. Figure out what needs to be done for you to operate legally and legitimately. Look over the tax forms that you'll be filing at year end now so that you can get familiar with them, so you know what to expect, and so that you can track the numbers now that you'll need to put in them later. Set up your bookkeeping system, again, so you can be tracking those numbers to file that tax form. Make it a monthly habit if you can. Don't procrastinate. And analyze the data that you're inputting into that bookkeeping system so you can make smarter decisions, right? We don't just have to deal with our finances so that we can file our taxes. Like, that's not super exciting. Knowing your numbers throughout the year can also have the benefit of helping you make better decisions. You'll see trends. You'll know when you're reaching your goals. You know when you're spending too much money and you need to cut back on expenses. You can just operate your business in a better way by having this data. So you came here today to this workshop to figure out what you need to do to get your business set up correctly. And I'm sure that you want to get legit. You have the desire to get there, but you don't want to necessarily have to figure it out by yourself. You might be a little bit afraid that you're going to do something wrong or forget about something. You probably don't want to spend a whole lot of time, money, and energy surfing the internet, trying to figure it out on your own, getting outdated information or conflicting information, and spending hours falling down the black hole of analysis paralysis in internet info overload. What you need is just one simple, trusted resource to help you get from kind of confused to confident. And through my years spent working with makers as an accountant with Paper and Spark, I have developed exactly that resource for you. It's called the Get Legit Toolkit, and it is a 7-lesson course that helps walk you through all the tasks that you need to do to get your shop set up correctly from a financial perspective, and also answers the most frequently asked questions and the biggest pain points I see my fellow makers have when it comes to these topics. And since you're watching this workshop now, I know that this is a need that you have at this point in time, so I'm inviting you to enroll in the Get Legit Toolkit for a limited time. Now, what exactly does the toolkit include? You get 7 modules, each covering one of the major financial cornerstones like banking, bookkeeping, sales tax, income tax, etc. Each module includes checklists, text, and video so that you can learn from various different types of mediums. If you learn better from reading, if you learn better from listening, you have all of those options in the course. It includes 4 bonus lessons on things like 1099s and depreciation, little extra stuff that you might want that may apply to you and be beneficial. You get access to a private Facebook community with fellow students and myself, so that anytime you're working through the content, if you have a question about how something applies to your specific situation or you're still confused about something, I'm there to help you. It includes any updates that I make to the course as tax info changes or tax rules evolve, which has been happening a lot lately. Recently, I've added lessons to the course about tax reform in the past year and about online sales taxes and how marketplace state sales taxes have been changing and all the changes coming with that, so that you can stay on top of changes. You have this one resource that you can go to, watch the 10-minute video update, know what you need to know, and then go back to running your business confidently. You have this here to help you. And on that note, you also get lifetime access to the course, so you can always revisit it when it's tax time and you need a refresher, or you can revisit it at year end when you're doing your inventory count and you don't quite remember what needs to be done. It's always there for you. Let me show you the 7 modules that I just mentioned in case you're curious about what the course content actually is and if this is stuff that you need help with, or maybe you've already tackled it and it doesn't apply to you anymore. So module 1 is banking. This is when we walk through setting up a business bank account, what to look for, suggested banks to check out, learning about banking terms, how to avoid those fees if at all possible, and why it's even necessary to have a separate bank account. Module 2, we talk about bookkeeping. I help you compare different bookkeeping options so you can select the one that is best for you. I don't just try and pimp out a Paper and Spark spreadsheet. We talk about other options as well. I give you checklists on what to be doing in those books every month and ways to stay on top of it and not procrastinate. Module 3 is all about the beast that is state sales tax. We talk about what sales taxes are these days. There's lots of different types of sales tax now because we've got physical nexus, we've got marketplace, facilitator sales taxes now, those online sales taxes. We've got economic nexus. It's a very complex landscape right now with sales tax. So we dive deep into explaining that in plain English. And by the end of this lesson, you will have your sales taxes taken care of. You will have registered with your state if applicable. I give you all the questions that you need to get answered with your state. I show you how to set up sales tax in Etsy. We dive deep into that one. Module 4 is about any other state and local responsibilities you may have, things like that DBA permit, fictitious name, any other sort of business permits, whether or not you want to register as an LLC with your state. We discuss that. Module 5 is another biggie, all about income tax. We dive deep into that Schedule C form. What sort of deductions can my business take? You get a checklist with common business deductions so that you can make sure you're tracking those things in your bookkeeping system. We talk about the mileage or vehicle deduction. We talk about the home office deduction or business use of home and what that means for you. I talk about how exactly your business taxes affect your personal tax situation. So if you're one of those people that has a partner that is ragging on you about your business net income affecting the refund that your family might usually get each year, you will be able to explain to your spouse exactly how your business or whether your business impacts your tax situation as a whole. So you're going to feel really smart after learning about that. And we also talk about self-employment tax and how that's calculated. Module 6 is all about saving for taxes. This answering those questions that I hear a lot, like how much should I be setting aside throughout the year to pay my tax bill? And I also talk about estimated quarterly tax payments. So if you need to be prepaying your tax bill throughout the year, a lot of times we don't know whether that applies to us or not, whether that's something we should be doing. So we figure out whether you need to do that in this lesson as well. And finally, the last module, we do something a little bit different. We talk about inventory. This is the biggest pain point that I see with the maker community right now. Being in business for a couple of years and not realizing that there's this whole concept when it comes to taxes of inventory. I need to be tracking my inventory this certain way for my tax return so that I can figure out the numbers that I need for cost of goods sold. So we talk about exactly what inventory and cost of goods sold are, whether this applies to you, how you should be tracking it throughout the year, how to do that year-end inventory count that you hear everybody talking about, and what this means for taxes. We get all those inventory questions cleared up in this last module. So by the end of this course, you're going to have all these to-do items checked off of your list. You're going to have your business bank account. You're going to have your sales tax permit. You're going to have done all your necessary state, county, and local registrations. You'll register for your EIN with the IRS. That's one of the things we do in the federal income tax lesson. You will have a shop that is set up to correctly charge sales tax. So it's money in, money out, and not money out of your pocket. And you're going to, most importantly, have the peace of mind that you got all the boxes checked and you didn't forget anything. You're not only going to have done these things and checked these boxes off, you're going to understand some really important financial concepts too. That confidence, that ability to feel good about understanding it is super important. So you will understand both your state and your federal tax responsibilities as a creative business owner. You're going to understand how online sales tax works. That physical nexus, economic nexus, marketplace stuff, you're going to understand it. You're going to know how to deal with inventory and cost of goods sold, including what to expect with that year-end inventory count. You're going to know how to wrap up your books and get everything ready to do your taxes at the tax deadline or at the end of the year. You're going to understand how to do your monthly books, what you need to be updating in there at the end of each month. You're going to understand how that Schedule C form works. You will know exactly how your business stuff affects your personal tax stuff. You'll know how much you want to be saving to pay that tax bill, and you will know how to pay yourself, something that we haven't really discussed here, but how to actually pay yourself for your hard time and work. We talk about that in the course as well. You're going to know these things and a lot more, and you're going to understand these things and a lot more. So by the time you complete the course, you're finally going to have all the tools you need to handle the financial side of running your business with confidence and clarity. Just like we talked about at the beginning of the workshop, you're going to have those feelings that you so desire. So maybe right now you're asking, okay, this sounds great. This sounds beautiful. I need this in my life. How much does it cost, Janet? Well, I want you to think about this for a few minutes first. If you hired a CPA to work with you one-on-one, that would usually cost you at least $200 an hour. If you took a college level accounting course to try and learn more about these concepts as a business owner, that's usually like a 4-figure investment. And if you piecemealed the answers together on your own from Google searches and reading blog posts and Facebook and Etsy forums, that would take a really long time. Plus, you wouldn't really feel confident that the information you're getting there is accurate. Now, I started Paper and Spark many moons ago because it is important to me, like I said at the beginning, for more entrepreneurs to be able to run their creative businesses without feeling gross about this stuff. Basically, I want to lower this as a barrier to entry. I never want lack of financial understanding to be something that holds you back from achieving your dreams. This information needs to be available to anyone who wants to run a handmade business successfully and make a profit. So I want you to think of the toolkit as the more economical equivalent of getting multiple one-on-one sessions and guidance from an accountant experienced in the handmade industry. Not only are you going to get like this one-on-one guidance from a CPA, but it's one who actually understands the needs of a handmade seller. Those are really hard to find. So right now I'm welcoming you to enroll in this exclusive version of the Get Legit Toolkit course that includes not just the basic toolkit or the course itself, but also some special exclusive bonuses. First, it includes everything in the basic version of the toolkit, which includes lifetime access to the course itself, a private Facebook group for asking your questions and getting support, and all the regular bonus lessons that are included in the course, like the depreciation workshop, legal checkpoints guide, and more. But this super toolkit also includes access to a handful of really helpful bonus modules. First, you get access to a safety compliance workshop with U.S. safety compliance expert Misty Henry. This is a 1-hour workshop and Q&A, and it comes with some really helpful resources regarding safety compliance. You also get access to my money mindset workshop, which is a 30-minute workshop all about helping you deal with icky money situations and money hangups that you might be dealing with. You can't get access to that anywhere else. I've also got the Etsy Essentials Guide from Zero to Biz, the Double Your Conversion Rate Bootcamp from marketing expert Morgan Neild, and the Handmade Website Jumpstart, which is an email course from Bex Marie. So all of these are some super special bonuses that you get if you decide to enroll in the Get Legit Toolkit. So you can get lifetime access to the course and all these other special goodies for either a one-time payment of $297 or 4 monthly payments of $84 a month. And either way, either choice that you make, even if you do the monthly payment plan, you still get immediate access to all of the course content so you can get started on that journey of getting legit right away. The payment plan just helps you spread out that amount over the course of a few months if that's easier on your budget. This is what the toolkit looks like. It's hosted on my Paper and Spark Thinkific platform. This is what it looks like once you log in. Here's a little preview of the Facebook community itself. The checkout process is really easy. If you just click the button below, it's going to take you straight to the sales page where you can choose whether you want to do the full-time payment, save a little bit of money and pay up front for $297, or if you'd rather do the payment plan, you can click that as well. You get access to the material right away, and you get that lifetime access. All right, so let's talk about a few of the most frequently asked questions I get when it comes to figuring out if the Get Legit Toolkit is a good fit for you. First, is it only made for Etsy sellers? I'm gonna say no. It really applies to any sort of creative seller, even if you don't sell online. If you sell on Shopify, if you sell on your social media page, if you sell only at craft shows, the concepts in the course are going to 100% be applicable to you. There are a few Etsy-based, Etsy-specific tutorials in there, like how to set up your sales tax in your shop on Etsy, for example, that would not apply to you if you don't sell on Etsy. But other than those like 2 or 3 Etsy-specific tutorials, everything in the course is still going to work for you. Is it only made for handmade sellers? No, it really is going to be beneficial for anyone who sells a physical product. Honestly, even if you don't sell a physical product, it would be beneficial, but there is Module 7 on inventory, which would only apply to physical product sellers. So if you sell, if you have a supply resale shop, if you sell vintage items on Etsy or eBay, everything in here is still going to be applicable to you and very helpful. Is the course only for US sellers? Pretty much, yes. I am a CPA here in the US. I am only well versed in US based tax rules and tax laws. There will be some things in the course that are going to be applicable no matter what country you're in, like how to set up your bookkeeping system and that good stuff. But we cover state sales tax, which only happens in the US. We review US-based tax forms like the Schedule C, and I can't say with certainty that those same concepts are going to apply to sellers in other countries. Are you there if I have questions about the content or about my specific situation? Yes, 100%. That is really what the purpose of the private community Facebook group is for. You can go in there when you're working through the course. You can update us on your progress. There's threads in there to post when you accomplish something. But then the other really good thing about the group is that you can go there to ask me questions. So if you're working through something and you're still confused on a topic, if you're working through maybe one of the state or local modules and you're not sure, you have a question about your specific situation or your specific county, we can work through those kinds of questions in the Facebook group. On that note, I get a lot of questions along the lines of, is this really going to help me understand my state and local responsibilities? Yes, I feel confident saying that yes, you will be able to get correctly set up with your state and city and county after taking this course. It is true, 100% transparency, that I do not have a lesson in there for all 50 states or all bajillion counties in the US, because that's just not feasible, unfortunately. But I do start off by teaching you the general concepts that apply across the board with all states so that you can understand the terminology, understand the landscape of how things work. I give you a questionnaire of issues and questions that you need to get the answers to for your specific location, so you know exactly what you need to figure out. And then I also give you the resources, the places to go, the links to go to figure out the answers to those questions for your specific state. So I don't just leave you high and dry without any help on how to figure the state stuff out. You will be able to work through the content to get what you need to know for your specific state, sales tax and permits and licensing and all that good stuff. And then again, that's another thing that Facebook group can help us get to the bottom of certain issues as well. How long will I get access for? Lifetime access. So it will always be available there for you to get refreshed and brush up on a topic anytime you need it. And if there are changes to tax rules or to tax forms or to any sort of tax situation, the updates will happen in the course and you will be notified that there are updates added. I'm either switching out the way forms look if there's updates to the forms, or I might be adding in a new lesson, a new video to update you on a specific new topic. It is designed to be pretty much your one-stop shop, your resource, your go-to resource to get up to speed on what you need to know as a creative entrepreneur and then get back to work. So you don't have to worry about figuring these things out on your own. You have the toolkit there to help you through it. And then finally, what is the refund policy? I am confident that you are going to be happy with your purchase, that you're going to get immense value from working through the toolkit with me. But if for any reason you figure out that it's not a good fit for you and you don't think it's going to be beneficial, you can request a refund within 14 days of enrolling. And I will honor that as long as I know that you have given it a shot and you just don't think it's a good fit for whatever reason. If you have any other questions that I didn't address here, or if you want to work through whether this is going to be a good fit for you, you are welcome to reach out to me directly. Just click that little chat bubble in the bottom bottom corner of your screen. It's going to send me a Facebook message. You can ask me any questions that you have about it, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I hope that you found this workshop beneficial today. I hope that it helped you clear up some of those frustrating rumors and myths that you might have been seeing as a creative business owner. Hopefully you have a little more clarity on that topic. You feel a little better about it, a little more sure about things and how they apply to you. I hope that you've got a plan of action in place on how you're going to get that business legit. And I welcome you again to join us in the Get Legit Toolkit. I hope I see you in there. I feel very confident that it's going to help give you that step-by-step guidance in plain English to really help you understand your financial responsibilities, get everything taken care of with that confidence and peace of mind so that you can move on to doing what you really enjoy and what you really feel excited about. Let me know how I can help you. You're always welcome to visit me at paperandspark.com. And yeah, thank you so much for checking me out and learning with me here today. Bye.